Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another episode of Bugrock of the Week. Today we're going to be covering all of the recent 1.17 Bedrock Edition betas for the Caves and Cliffs update, and there has been 4 betas since our last episode of Bugrock. Lots of little features, refinements, and additions to the existing Caves and Cliffs features for Bedrock Edition. Not so much any new Caves and Cliffs features, but they've poured a lot of time and effort into developing powdered snow and goats. Like, a lot of things have been changed with those 2 feature sets. It's a very, very nice thing to see, so we're going to cover everything in detail in today's episode. Since it's been about a month or so since the last episode of Bugrock, I want to give you guys an opportunity to choose what the next episode should be on. So below in the description of the video is going to be a link to a Twitter poll. You can vote on that and tell me what you want to see in the next episode of Bugrock. There are 3 main options: all of the current bugs in the Bedrock Edition betas, you know, kind of like how we're covering the new features, but all of the bugs, or all of the recent bug fixes in the betas and in the full releases for Bedrock Edition. There's a lot of bugs I've been meaning to cover that have been fixed, and I think you guys would appreciate knowing about that. Or you can vote to have a video on all the current bugs in the current Bedrock Edition release, aka 1.16.200.2. So let me know on that Twitter poll down below. I would love to hear your feedback. Of course, I love hearing you guys' feedback in general on just about everything on the planet, and I haven't made one of these videos in a while, so it's a good chance and a good opportunity for you guys to tell me what you want. Also, in case you're wondering, we're not using a straw poll because, well, there's only 3 options, and the last time we did a straw poll, it kind of got botted, so like there was a bunch of bot accounts that voted. So that's a thing. So we're going to be using Twitter polls where we can from now on. Also, follow me on Twitter if you haven't. Okay, shameless promotion over. Let's get into the video. And let's hop into the betas, shall we? The first beta for today is 1.16.210.50. I swear, they're just trying to make these beta names difficult to say. It gets worse every single beta. It's ridiculous. Anyway, the first thing I'd like to mention is right at the top of the changelogs now, there is a known issues section. This is very, very good. I haven't noticed this on any of the previous changelogs that they've done. Maybe I'm blind, maybe it's new. Either way, I'm really glad that it's right here, right at the top of the changelogs. It tells us what bugs the developers already know about, so we don't need to report it to the bug tracker. It lets us know what to watch out for in-game, and hopefully for future changelogs, we see a lot more entries into this known issues category. As you can see, for the rest of the beta, there isn't really that much to talk about, but we're going to check out everything in-game. I didn't see this in the changelogs for any of the betas in today's video, but do you notice anything different about the Nether? You probably do, but let's go ahead and change one thing in our video settings real quick. Just go ahead and up that render distance. Now, do you notice anything different? You should. They finally fixed the Nether fog. Nether fog has been locked at like 4 chunk render distance the entirety of Bedrock Edition, but now the fog gets pushed back to the edge of your render distance depending on how high you have your render distance set. This is a very interesting thing. You can actually like see in the Nether. I've lived in the Nether my entire life. I've never seen more than 30 blocks in front of my face. Incredible. So this is what the Nether looks like on a very high render distance with no Nether fog. It's actually really, really interesting, and I'm quite fascinated by it. I would love to see a super tall Nether, like 256 blocks tall, or even taller with the Nether update and with no fog. I think that would be really interesting to see. This is the first time I've ever seen the Nether like this. There's always that super annoying fog in the way. But without that, it's a completely different dimension. I mean, just look at this right here. You can see for absolutely miles. It is incredible. Our first bug fix for this beta is ambient sounds like cave sounds will now play in the Nether. So if I shut up for a second, you'll notice that we have lots and lots of sounds. I turned up ambient all the way to 100, as you can see, and turned off all other sounds. Okay, so yeah, nether ambient sounds creepy. I love it though. It's actually really, really fun. Now, I'm guessing that they're going to make them play less often. If you remember when they first added cave sounds to Bedrock Edition, they played non-stop, and that was eventually fixed. So I'm guessing they're going to do the same thing with the nether ambient sounds. It makes sense to have them play a lot at first for testing, and then once you know they actually work, you can make them play less often. Other than that, this beta brings us a little bit of server fixes to make it easier to join servers whenever there is a reset or various issues like that. It opens up some accessibility features such as screen reader, and it also adds some features to the achievements screen. Overall, nothing terribly interesting, but still very good fixes to have, and you can see those on screen now in the changelog. Moving on to beta 1.16.210.51, we have all of the changes to the goats. Goats got like 20 different changes in this beta, and it's really cool to see. First of all, basically every single feature and aspect of them has been updated, fixed, or corrected in one way, shape, or another, and you can see all the changes on screen right now. We are going to demonstrate and talk about a couple of them in game though. First of all, their knockback has been significantly fixed. My god, these guys actually are dangerous. Jeez, okay. Yeah, be careful around them and cliffs. I wasn't even on the edge of the cliff. He just knocked me like 20 blocks. So yeah, they could really knock you, like, far. Do not trust a goat. Kill them before they kill you. Knock them off a cliff before they knock you off a cliff. Yeah, they'll like really try and ram you. So the further away the goat is from you, when it starts to ram you, the further back you'll go. And also baby goats now give you less knockback when they ram you. Perfect example. That makes sense. They have, of course, a lower body mass. They can't do as much knockback. But the adults, as you can see, they can easily knock you about 30 or so blocks. Hey, don't even think about it, buddy. No, bad goat. Yeah, these guys are actually quite fascinating. I'm glad that they knock you so far. If they only knocked you like 3 or 4 or 6 blocks, it wouldn't really be that big of a deal, but they knock you like 30 blocks, and that is going to be very, very fun on top of a mountain when you are definitely going to die if you fall off of that thing. Breeding 2 goats together now only gives you 1 baby goat. In previous updates, you could get like 7 or 8 baby goats, and that was just way too many baby goats. Also, these guys will now no longer attack armor stands, meaning that at one point, they did attack armor stands, which adds to our fan theory that armor stands are definitely alive on the Bedrock Edition. No, like, really, armor stands are alive. Don't believe me? Watch the previous Bugrock episodes. I know there's 84 Bugrock episodes. Watch them all. Another nice little bug fix in this update is now whenever you bone meal the ocean floor in a warm ocean biome, now you can get both the normal corals and the coral fans. The normal corals only stand up vertically. The coral fans can go on the side of a block. Now, the reason why this is important is because the coral fans actually act like a trapdoor, or like how buttons used to work in previous updates. AKA, the coral fans on the side of a block is treated as a full block in mob pathfinding, and therefore we can use it in a mob farm to abuse their pathfinding and make them walk off of ledges and stuff like that. So this now being a fully renewable resource in the warm ocean biomes is a pretty massive thing, and it's really going to help out with a lot of different mob farm designs. It's basically going to replace buttons and all of the previous designs that we had for Bedrock Edition. Of course, in previous updates, these are non-renewable due to this bug, but it's a really nice bug fix for something minor that you wouldn't think would affect anything, but in reality, these things are incredibly useful. Another pretty minor bug fix from this beta is now whenever you mine the Crimson Hypheny, the one with the texture on all sides, using Silk Touch, you will actually get back a legitimate block. So this is basically just another cursed block that you could have gotten on Bedrock Edition. Whenever you broke these things with Silk Touch, it will give you back a block that could not be placed. So if you are one to collect broken blocks of Bedrock Edition, make sure you snag this one from the previous previous betas. Moving on to beta 1.16.210.53. This is where the majority of fixes and updates and features comes in for this video. Lots and lots of things have been added to Powder Snow, and lots of very interesting mechanics as well. The first thing I'd like to mention is that they finally added the hotkey for full screen to Bedrock Edition on Windows 10, F11. Finally! You know how long I've been needing this? Oh my god, now I can turn off my hood, I can make it full screen, I can turn on the stupid paper doll thingy, I can do all the things just with the hotkeys. It is so nice. Thank you, Bedrock Edition developers. Why did it take you 3 years? I don't know, but I'm glad that it's finally here. This is such a nice little thing. This is fine. It would appear that the full feature set of Powdered Snow has been introduced, although I think there's probably still a few bug fixes to be worked out. But basically, this is a non-stackable block in a bucket. So as you can see, we can place down the snow block, walk on through that, and it's a very fascinating and strange little thing. As you can see, we're actually wearing some leather boots right now, so that means that we can actually stand on top of this, and whenever we're inside of the snow block, we don't actually take any freezing damage. I'm not sure if the leather is supposed to prevent you from taking freezing damage, but we'll talk more about that in a second. As you can see, we can pick it back up and place it just about anywhere that we like. The powdered snow does not get flushed away by water, which is kind of surprising, so it's not like a snow layer, and it also cannot be waterlogged either, so that's kind of fascinating. Furthermore, dispensers cannot interact with these powdered snow buckets. As you can see, a dispenser with a normal empty bucket in it doesn't do anything at all. It cannot pick up or place down powdered snow, which I think is rather unfortunate. It would be really interesting if we could have the dispensers work with the powdered snow. That would give us a lot of interesting contraptions and a lot of interesting builds just with this one simple mechanic. Although I suppose Mojang probably doesn't want automatic block placement in Minecraft. Completely understandable. I don't really want that either. Powdered snow blocks are not obtainable and they cannot be found in the creative inventory. The only way to get these things is by finding them in the wild and then picking them up with a bucket, and that allows you to do whatever with them. So you can't break these with Silk Touch and get them that way. However, I did find a way to get them. Basically, first try, what you need to do is destroy them with a fill command. So as you can see, the set block command is set to destroy the block beneath us. That is going to drop the powdered snow as a block. So again, if you're trying to get cursed objects in your Minecraft world, this is one for your collection. Freezing damage has also been applied to powder snow now. So as you can see, if we go ahead and stand in this block, the edges of the screen are very slowly going to start freezing. And as you can see with that pig back behind us as well, you will actually take a freezing damage and eventually die from being inside of the powder snow. As you can see, it's a very, very slow process, but our hearts have now turned frozen, which is so cool looking, and we're gonna start taking damage. I'm currently playing on hard mode, but I'm actually regenerating health you know, quicker than I'm getting damage. So this isn't really like a super threat or anything, but it's still something that might get you depending on what situation you are in. The interesting thing about freezing damage is it applies the same speed no matter if just your feet are in it, if just one of your legs are in it, or if you are completely submerged in powder snow. So no matter how you're interacting with this block, you are going to get frozen at the same speed. Another very interesting thing about this is that it actually gives you slowness. As you can see, we're walking physically slower. This is my running speed while being frozen, which is pretty cool. Now, if you happen to step into fire, you will become instantly unfrozen, and as you can see, we get a bunch of particles. That's definitely a bug, and definitely not fine. So, you can instantly unfreeze yourself by catching yourself on fire. So, I don't think that's really going to help you that much. Leather boots now officially have a proper use in the game, because if you're wearing leather boots, you can actually stand on top of the powdered snow and you won't fall down through it, and you can actually jump up through it as well. As you can see, if we fall down into it, we can jump right up out of it. If we take off the boots, you can see that we'll fall through it. We cannot jump out of the powdered snow, and we're going to start freezing. But an interesting exploit that I'm seeing with this, I'm not sure if this is intentional or not. If we put put on our leather boots, we pretty much instantly start unfreezing. So the leather boots are incredibly overpowered and very, very warm as well. Very nice Persian leather. Not only do leather boots work for the player, they also work for other mobs in the game that can wear boots, such as drowns, wither skeletons, anything that can wear armor, villagers, witches, all kinds of stuff that you can apply armor to, including armor stands. I was not expecting Mojang to go this far, but you know what? They did it, and I'm very proud. As you can see, armor stand without boots falls all the way through. Armor stand with boots does not fall through. Good job, Mojang. Very nice indeed. And then if we go ahead and take off the boots, it falls right on through. Very nice. That's really awesome to see, actually. You can do a lot of fun stuff with that. A couple more last minute things to note about the powdered snow. Gravity blocks do not break when they land on it, and in fact they don't fall through either, which is kind of an interesting property. I expected them to function like cobwebs, and poor Piggo. I expected it to function like a cobweb where the gravity blocks would slowly fall through over time, but that is kind of a surprising feature. Furthermore, you can also turn off the freezing damage, similar to fire damage and fall damage. It's simply game roll freeze damage false, and bam, you turned off your freezing damage, or you can turn it back on with a game roll freeze damage true, so that's a very nice little thing. Lightweight mobs will fall through the powdered snow, but they are actually light enough to climb through it and navigate it successfully. I'm not sure what quite quantifies a lightweight mob, but I would assume anything smaller than a block or smaller than like a pig or so. I'm not entirely sure, but chickens definitely qualify as lightweight. Furthermore, rabbits, silverfish, and endermite won't actually fall through powdered snow. As you can see, they have no issues with this stuff. They can navigate it just fine, and it's quite cool. Shulkers have no effect on the powdered snow, and they don't seem to care about it. A massive change has finally been added to loot chests in Bedrock Edition. They are no longer completely randomized. They will always be the same in the world. So for example, if we create this world with the seed subscribe and go to this exact loot chest inside of this exact desert temple, the loot is always going to be exactly the same. As you can see, we got all of this various things right here, and this enchantment book. If we turn to our right, this one has all this various junk and a golden apple. Now, if we go ahead and create this exact world again and go to that exact location, the loot is going to be exactly the same. In previous updates, it was completely randomized, and all loot chests in the world were completely randomized. This is going to have two big effects on the game. First of all, this opens up the possibilities of potentially creating a program to find all of the notch apples in your world. For example, Chunkbase might make a additional finder to tell you what is going to be in all of your various loot chests in your world. They've certainly done things like that in the past. And as you can see, the loot is the exact same in this chest. Now you will notice that the enchantment book enchantments will be different, so there's still a little bit of RNG at play here, but otherwise everything is exactly the same. This is also going to have a really big effect on speed running as well. Speedrunners will oftentimes kind of game the system by refreshing a world over and over and over again to get really good loot in a loot chest to help them get the best time possible, but now that is not going to be possible on the Bedrock Edition. You're just going to have to find a good world with a good seed and really good loot in the loot chests in order to get a good speed running time. And that is going to have some pretty massive long-term effects for Bedrock Edition speedrunning. Speaking of golden apples and notch apples, whenever you highlight these things on your hotbar, they will actually give you the colored text like they're supposed to. So as you can see, notch apples now give you the purpley pink text, and the standard golden apples will give you the light blue cyan text, which is really cool. Our final beta for today is 1.16.210.54, the current Bedrock Edition beta as of recording. There's not much in this one, it's a pretty small beta. However, they did add another very nice accessibility feature. If we go into our audio settings, you'll see that there is now a slider for the text-to-speech volume, which is very nice. You can now increase or decrease the volume of your text-to-speech, something that I'm sure a lot of people will really appreciate. I was planning on demonstrating this next one, but the Wandering Trader, whenever it trades you a ink sac, that ink sac will now work properly, stack with regular ink sacs, and be able to be used in a crafting table. Now, Now, that's basically another cursed item if you get the ink sac in a previous update, so watch out for that one too. Now, the reason why I'm not demonstrating it is because I had 0 luck getting any of these traders to, you know, give me an ink sac trade. Do they even trade them anymore? Like, come on, that's like a lot of, there's even more over here. I looked through a lot of them, and they did not have any form of ink sac trades. Conspiracy theory, maybe that's how they fixed the bug. They removed the trade. No trade, no bugs. Oh yeah. And that's gonna do it for today's episode of Bugrock of the Week. I hope that you have greatly enjoyed. Of course, make sure to vote on the Twitter poll down in the description of the video. That way I know which episode of Bugrock you guys want to see next. I really do want to hear your feedback, so make sure to vote on that poll. And also, while you're on Twitter, if you haven't already, consider following me. Otherwise, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Of course, if you have, make sure to leave a like on the video or consider subscribing so you don't miss future episodes on the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you guys down in the comment section, and in the next one. Thank you so very much for watching, and then there was silence.